I genuinely think leisure might be one of the greatest things humans have ever stumbled upon. Not technology, not money, not even civilization itself. Leisure. And I'm not talking about some sloth maxing philosophy here, right? I'm not talking about just leisure, just free time, being lazy, and it's the greatest thing ever. It is awesome, right? It is awesome not to do anything, at least for me, but that's not what I'm actually talking about. I'm talking about free time by itself, leisure by itself. Being able to have free time by itself is the greatest thing ever for us humans. And I don't think people realize how strange leisure actually is. Because if you look at almost every animal on Earth, their lives are almost entirely about survival, finding food, finding water, finding shelter, avoiding predators, reproducing, and that's basically it. I guess you can say that some animals engage in playful activities. So, yeah, maybe animals too sometimes have free time that they like to fill with other activities not essential to survival. Like some animals like to eat plants or mushrooms that get them high. That can be considered leisure. Or laying down and resting after hunting and eating. But that is as far as leisure goes with animals. We humans used to live like that too. For most of human history, survival consumed almost all of life. But something changed once humans started cooperating on a massive scale. We built farms, cities, tools, systems, civilizations, and through collective effort, humans slowly managed to create something extremely rare in nature: free time. Time where you are not actively trying to survive. And I think that changed everything. Because once survival stops consuming every second of your existence, human consciousness starts expanding into strange directions. Once you have free time or leisure, then you can sit around and think above and beyond basic survival needs. Think about food, for example. Food is a basic survival need. Without food, you cannot survive. Now, in survival mode, you're out there alone. You go hunting, and once you make the kill, if you're able to, you eat the thing raw, because you have no time to think about cooking and stuff. You're out there trying to survive, trying to find a safe place, or make a shelter, or you want to start a fire if you know about fire, and that's very difficult. So you have no time to think about future. You're living in the right here, right now. But if you're working together with a bunch of hunters, suddenly hunting becomes much more effective. Now you can hunt down prey much easier. Now you can hunt bigger prey. Cooperating results in extra time, since hunting becomes easier. With extra time, with leisure, humans don't just eat. We create cuisines, recipes, restaurants, cultures around food. A starving animal eats whatever it can. Humans turn eating into art. Another example: shelter. Humans don't just build protection from the elements. We decorate, we design interiors. We care about lighting, atmosphere, architecture. When people look at our existence, they see a floating rock circling a bright star that provides life. They think we're just a bunch of animals surrounded by other animals and all kinds of life forms. We're all just out here drifting in space trying to survive, right? Wrong. We do more than just survive. I would argue we have survived. It's a completed quest for us. Now we have all this free time on our hands. Because survival is a walk in the park now, compared to most of human history at least. Then the question arises, what now? I think we are spoiled. We are spoiled by our free time, by our leisure, so much so that we have the audacity to ask ourselves, what now? And think about what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of to all of this? If animals could talk, they would say, man, all I want is to find some water, find some food and shelter and get some bitches. But no, we humans have ascended beyond these things Now we're thinking up purposes to our life. And that's what made me start thinking about Albert Camus. Hopefully, I said his name right. His whole idea is that there is no objective meaning hidden somewhere in the universe, no ultimate answer, no cosmic purpose waiting to be discovered. And honestly, I think he may be right. And maybe that's why humans constantly invent new problems for themselves. Think about it. A wild animal would probably look at us like we're insane. We willingly wake up at 5 a.m. to run marathons. We climb mountains for no reason. We spend years mastering instruments. We create difficult video games on purpose. We argue about philosophy. We obsess over self-improvement. We voluntarily choose struggle even after survival is already guaranteed. Why? Because humans were never built to simply survive. We evolved to overcome problems like any other animal, I guess. But once we solved all the natural, survival-related problems, we still have the equipment to solve problems, but now we lack the problems. So what do? We create artificial problems, or challenges if you will, to compensate. And maybe that's why modern people often feel empty despite living more comfortably than almost every human who came before them. Because comfort solved survival, but it didn't solve consciousness. And I think that's the real paradox of leisure. Leisure liberated humanity from nature, but it also forced humanity to confront itself. This is why I think it might be a good idea not to really judge what people spend time on. Because, objectively speaking, we are more or less playing on creative mode, especially out here in the West. So, who am I to judge what other people spend their time on? Now, I can maybe judge morally. Like, obviously torturing animals for fun, for example, is not really a good activity, morally speaking. But if you put aside morality for a second, we are all out here just figuring out what to do with our extra time on our hands. That's what modern human life really is. Some people chase money, some chase status, some chase art, some start families, some play video games for 12 hours, some dedicate their lives to philosophy, some become obsessed with fitness, some climb mountains, some sit around thinking about the meaning of existence. And when you really think about it, all of these are just different ways humans choose to fill the massive space that leisure created. Because survival alone is no longer enough to occupy us. And maybe that's why modern humans are simultaneously the most comfortable and the most existentially confused people who have ever lived. Because once you remove constant survival pressure, you also remove automatic purpose. A wild animal does not wake up wondering what it should do with its life. Its life is already decided by necessity. But humans escaped necessity just enough that now we have to decide for ourselves what matters. And maybe that freedom is both a gift and a curse. Because freedom sounds amazing, until you realize freedom also means responsibility. Responsibility to decide what is worth pursuing. What kind of life is worth living? What should I dedicate my limited time to? And maybe that's why humans never stop searching for meaning. Not because the universe necessarily contains some hidden answer, but because consciousness itself seems to demand direction. That's all I can say about this topic. Hopefully you liked the video, and see you in the next one.